Greetings, my dears, in love and light. I'm Nikki Sutton. Why the dark night of the soul is actually a good thing. Now, some of us have gone through the dark night of the soul. Now, what is that? So when we begin our awakening, I'm talking about the kind of awakening where it happens in adult life, not where we've been awakened since a very young age, although it still might occur. Everyone's different. So an adult stage awakening where we realise a lot of stuff. We might realise about the continuance of life, that we don't die. We may have had a paranormal experience, a near-death experience, an out-of-body experience. We may have seen a ghost. We may have had a traumatic event happen to us. We may have come upon a lot of information. Now, initially, we go through a phase of sort of surprise. Wow, we can't believe all this new information. It changes everything, and there can be a lot of elation there. But after a little while, for many people, it has further implications. You start to realise more so, what does this mean for me? What does this mean about reality? And that's where the concept of self, the ego, starts breaking down, because you're no longer what you thought you were, and life is no longer what you thought it was, so that feels very unsafe. So the ego dies a lot of the time. That's ego death. So then we get thrown into the dark night of the soul because we're trying to process all these realizations that we've had. Now, it can be extremely unpleasant, but it can't be avoided, because if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And it's like an extreme cleansing. A bit like Kundalini, an energetic experience. I have other videos on that. That is a cleansing. But this is a different kind of cleansing. It's usually based around realizations and the breakdown of the self and the ego. Now, most people have limited control over this experience. It needs to run its course. The dark night of the soul is the end of the acute phase of the awakening process. It's the acute phase where we suddenly have these realizations. The euphoria sort of wears off, if that even happened at all. And then you enter the dark night of the soul. And once you start to heal from the dark night of the soul, then you can carry on your spiritual path and learn and grow at your own pace, usually. Awakening is never done. It's an ongoing path. Spirituality is an ongoing path. There's always more to learn and know and grow. But the dark night of the soul is like the end of the acute, intense phase of the awakening. The purging and on the way to healing. Okay, so reasons why the dark night of the soul is actually a good thing is that it's the shedding of limiting beliefs, which frees your mind. So we've been given a lot of limiting beliefs throughout our life. I mean, given to us by well-meaning people oftentimes. Limiting beliefs such as, I must have a certain level of success to be happy. I must have lots of money to be happy. Or I need to be socially popular or act a certain way to be cool or fashionable. I need to be super fashionable and wear lots of fashionable clothing, and that will fulfill me, that will make me valid. But your own validation is not in any of these things. So that's an example of a limiting belief, that your sense of self-worth is based around things. Another example for a YouTuber, a lot of YouTubers, their sense of self-worth is based around how many views they get. You see, that has to be let go, because your sense of self-worth is not based around anything but what's within. So once you get rid of the limiting beliefs and then realise that your sense of validation and happiness and all of that is within, examples, then you're free to go. You're free to progress without these chains. the limiting beliefs that have been given to you, that you've soaked up from society, culture, maybe religion, just family beliefs and all these things, they may be limiting you. And the dark night of the soul can often cause you to question them and think, oh my gosh, maybe that's not helpful. But then now what do I believe? And this is another reason why we go so dark. What do I believe then? What are my priorities then? It takes time to rebuild. Okay, so by shedding those limiting beliefs, we can change priorities. So let's say my priority was working a lot, and in order to provide for my children, I need to earn a lot of money. So that was a limiting belief. By changing that, my priority is actually being with them, being present with my children. So there's a benefit there. Your priorities have changed. You're not under so much societal system brainwashing, and you become oftentimes more relationship orientated. And then the children get more attention from you in a good way. So it's the shedding of limiting beliefs and the new priorities. And that's a good benefit of the dark night of the soul. Even though it can feel like hell, when you come out the other end, there's benefits. Another benefit of the dark night of the soul is that it's a boot camp for what needs fixing. You see, during the dark night of the soul, because you realise so much about the nature of self, the nature of reality, being an infinite being and what have you, when you start to lose control and lose your sense of safety, perhaps have paranoia or reality distortions like I did, believing I was being followed because of what I knew, and the helicopters were following me. I actually heard helicopters. They were actually there, I think. I think I was manifesting them because I was so paranoid that I was being watched. And paranoid about negative energy and all sorts of things. But my anxiety was high and I was a bit depressed. So when I say it's a boot camp for what needs fixing, it shows you what's already in there that needs fixing. It exacerbates it to make it really obvious that it needs fixing. So say my anxiety was exacerbated. Okay, obviously I need to work on anxiety then. Can't all be done during the dark night of the soul, but at least you know that that's a signpost that needs healing. And then onward in life, you get through the dark night of the soul and you do inner work on these things. So it's a boot camp for what needs fixing. Right, another benefit of the dark night of the soul is that you emerge a blank canvas. So as I say, your ego has broken down. I'm not saying you want to be a blank canvas, but the benefit is you can rebuild yourself as you see fit. It's like painting a new picture. So you've got rid of all these limiting beliefs and you realise you've got to do this inner work. You've realised about reality, that we're in an energetic reality that can be manifested via thoughts. What? Really? I mean, really? And you start to believe and you start to manifest stuff and you realise it works. And you realise that's the nature of reality. It's all in the code, it's all in the atoms, it's all in the unified field. That's the nature of the game. You start to really believe it. So you've broken down during your dark night of the soul, and you're paranoid and you're sad and you're depressed and you don't want to go out, you don't want to see anyone, and you're watching lots of YouTube videos and reading stuff. But then that breakdown, there becomes a bottom point, and all that's left is emptiness and a bit of darkness. But then we can start to rebuild. We start to find pieces of inspiration. We start to find information that's really useful, that we want to pursue, we want to be, we want to become. And yes, you're building a new ego for yourself of sorts. You're a human being. Don't hate yourself for that. You can't be a boring, empty vessel for the rest of your life. You're going to take on new ego. I'm not saying ego as an egotistical behaviour or narcissism or anything like that. I'm talking about the concept of you, the whole concept of you, your personality, and everything to do with you, and how you perceive reality, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive yourself in groups, everything about you. That's your ego. That's what I'm talking about. And you start to rebuild bits of that, and it's all brand new. So you're a blank canvas, reconstructing yourself as you wish. Now, I just want you to know that the universe will never put more on you than you can handle. Sometimes people feel like they can't handle it, but you can handle it. Your soul put you here. It wouldn't have done so if it didn't think you can handle the challenge. So just know that when you're going through the dark night of the soul, you can handle the challenge. You can rise to the challenge. Your soul set it for you. Take the bait, go for it, work through it. Once you come out the other side, you'll feel much better and you'll be a new you, a better you. Now, another benefit of the dark night of the soul is that it gives you a humbleness. Now, I'm not saying you want to be a very humble person and let everyone walk all over you and be a quiet nobody or something. I'm saying humbleness in terms of you realise and respect. You respect others deeply. You respect yourself deeply. You respect the world deeply. Your ego isn't ruling everything. You appreciate more. You realise the significance of things more. And in turn, reality becomes more beautiful. It becomes more enjoyable and you appreciate the little things more. Not so swept up in crap. Feeling humble, appreciation, realisation. And that's another thing, that when you got through the dark night of the soul, there's a new humbleness. A new realisation of your place, important place, in the oneness of creation, and a new appreciation for all. Now, another benefit of the dark night of the soul, nearly done, is that it's the grand finale of the acute awakening process. You know that when you're going into the dark night of the soul, I'm nearly there. I'm going through the big purging. I'm realising a lot about myself. I'm realising a lot about reality. And that when I'm through this, it's going to be a lot better. A lot of clients, I'll do a video on this, but some clients come to me and they say that they're having trouble with worrying about demons and dark energies during the dark night of the soul. And this often occurs when one has had a religious background, because the things we're learning about now are seemingly demonic or satanic or something. So worrying about entities and darkness, I'll do a video on how to help you to perceive that and get through it. But know that even though it seems scary, even though it seems dark, there are benefits. It's happening for a reason. Your soul wants this. And once you're through, you're on that smoother path of spirituality where you can learn and grow and experience and love and appreciate. And the last benefit I'll give you here of the dark night of the soul is that you'll be a stronger person and you'll know yourself better. Things won't scare you so much. You'll be a stronger person because once you face all these demons, like literally thought form demons that you might be projecting into your reality because you're in such a bad place, like I was manifesting the helicopters watching me. If you can get through that, where your reality is breaking down to the point you're intensely paranoid and manifesting all kinds of darkness, you can get through all sorts. You're really strong and you can get through it. And you'll know yourself so much better as well. You'll know what needs working on inside, going forward on your path. All the negative emotions that came up, okay, I need to work on those going forward. You'll know how you coped in an extremely negative situation, how brave you were. Sometimes you'll be scared and you might break down. And you'll see a lot of information online that makes you feel so much hatred for the world, perhaps. Some conspiracy theories you'll see make you mad as fire. But you'll see how you coped with that and you'll find ways to cope with that. And it gives you fuel to make a new difference in the world. It turns you into a service to others, service to creation, service to the world type person who wants to make a wonderful difference. That's another benefit often. It puts you on the service to others path while still taking care of the self. So you'll be stronger and you'll know yourself better and you'll be this new person that's a spiritual person. Don't like that label, but we've got to use a word for it, haven't we? On the spiritual path ready for anything. The dark night of the soul is necessary and it has its benefits, and you'll get there. Take strength in the others that have gone through it and are going through it, okay? And you'll be fine. So leave me and others a comment on what you feel like going through the dark night of the soul, or what you experienced when you did, and maybe some support for others who are going through it if you've already gone through it, okay? Support this Spiritual Awakening YouTube channel on Patreon and receive weekly bonus videos. You can also choose to receive spiritual guidance via email or spiritual sessions. And don't forget to click subscribe if you're not already a subscriber to receive regular spiritual inspiration on your journey through life. Like and share also, because we're raising the mass vibration together. So go now in love and peace.